Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from November 20th until November 27th, as we have just entered into a new reality supporting the 0 point quantum field of potentials that we have been feeling since 2020. Yes, we have a significant transition happening that actually goes into 2026. And we're going to be discussing that in today's show, as well as the ongoing transiting aspects between the planets, where the sun enters Sagittarius this week, and we have more fire in the cosmos to get us moving, plus Mercury stations retrograde on November 25th. So we'll be covering all of the main transits of the week as Scorpio season ends and we move into the uplifting frequencies of Sagittarius season. We just experienced one of, if not the biggest astrological change of the decade, where Pluto finally left Capricorn on November 19th at 3:29 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a big deal because Pluto is now finally staying in Aquarius until 2044. And this has been an energy that we've been sampling since 2023. Pluto first moved into Aquarius in March 2023, stayed there for a few months until June, then returned to Capricorn for the rest of 2023. Pluto then entered Aquarius in January of this year and has been moving through the early degrees of Aquarius, getting to 2 degrees of Aquarius this year before retrograding back into Capricorn. Now, what has been unfolding is this ongoing grand shift in the cosmos that signals the ending of eras and beginning of new cycles, and they overlap. We have been shedding skins similar to a snake molting, outgrowing what was. We have been elevating our own consciousness, understanding that the new potentials that we're moving into can actually only unfold because of what we have transformed and learned through the Pluto in Capricorn portion of our journeys. Now, I've talked a lot about this, so I'm not going to repeat it. There are more specifics on my YouTube channel under the Pluto Energies playlist, where I have talked about 2023 and 2024 being the changeover years, and that we've had to pay attention to the endings because they are affecting us at deep soul levels. These are karmic completions. These are soul contracts that are now permanently changed and shifted. Perhaps you're experiencing them as closures. Perhaps you're experiencing them as new starts with people in your world who are also ready to begin again with you on a similar frequency. We've had to assess and be brutally honest with ourselves about our deep connection to our own authority, our own power, and how that supports our sense of purpose and our soul mission in this lifetime. We've had to reclaim what we have given away to external authorities, to anyone that we thought we needed to recognize us or reward us. Pluto in Capricorn has been showing you that you've had the power all along, Dorothy. And how are you ready to embrace it and walk forward based on these deep, intense, transformational experiences that you've had to face over the past 16 years? So this changeover in energy brings up what you've learned over the past 16 years when Pluto first entered Capricorn in January 2008 and proceeded through all 30 degrees of Capricorn in your natal astrology chart, effectively destroying, demolishing, and removing the parts of yourself that were operating from an unconscious position, a disempowered state, or where you were disconnected from your soul's true empowered wisdom and sovereignty that you were ready to fully own, embrace, and develop new respect around in yourself. Pluto in Capricorn has been leading us through a journey of personal integrity, greater strength, dedication, and fortitude, higher levels of self-respect, and a new understanding of what you're perfectly capable of achieving in this lifetime. So as we close out and finalize those Pluto and Capricorn lessons, make sure to have gratitude for what you've realized and transformed along the way. Notice that it was only through these Plutonic experiences that you could have gone as deep as you were required to, and that you permanently changed parts of your soul's frequency along the way. So now, with Pluto fully remaining in Aquarius, Pluto has returned to the 0-point quantum field that has been activated in Aquarius since the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn here back in late December 2020. Specifically, it occurred during the Capricorn solstice, December 20th, 21st, and 22nd. This great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn occurs every 20 years. So the next one will be in 2040. But another significant beginning that started with this great conjunction is that now Saturn and Jupiter will be conjunct in air signs for the next 200 years. So this began a new 200-year cycle of Saturn and Jupiter meeting up in air signs every 20 years, starting at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And now we have Pluto in Aquarius returning here for the fourth and final time to take our consciousness further into a new era of development that the human mind hasn't experienced before. And so, yes, I'm naming a lot of cycles here that overlap, and I know it can be a lot to keep track of. But what is significant is that this new 0-point quantum field is unfolding in the air signs that will be expanding our human evolutionary journey, bringing in new levels of consciousness, knowledge, universal wisdom, expansive thought, elevating us out of a previous paradigm that we were comfortable in, that we've known, that has always been part of our experience. Now with Pluto remaining in Aquarius, we collectively move into uncharted territory that also will line up with the 0 point of new beginnings and birthing new empowered realities with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that will occur in February 2026. This happens at 0 degrees of Aries. So what I want to outline for you is that there are parts of you that have been showing up and then perhaps disappearing, coming through and presenting new expressions, understandings, new elements of your soul that is ready to be embodied here in this reality. And then it's drifted away and it's disappeared. And maybe you've thought, oh, I thought that was going to happen, or I expected to go in this direction, or I thought a part of my life would start here, and then it didn't. So we've been in perhaps what we experience as false starts or temporary repositionings that don't go anywhere. But now, with Pluto in Aquarius, staying here, the future vision you've been holding and wanting to manifest is ready to come forward but it's an ongoing process that will also take another few years to fully manifest, as Saturn and Neptune are going to enter Aries and also bring in more of what your soul is ready to create in this lifetime, perhaps for the first time ever in your soul's experience on earth. So understand that this is a grand cycle that unfolds over multiple years, but this particular week and this time frame of energy is asking you to powerfully focus in on what you want that to be. Because even though it's going to take a few more years to truly land and form, it's still happening now, because in the 0 point quantum field, everything is present. Everything is a reality, and it's the point of pure creation outside of the time-space continuum. So there's a deep activation happening now. And as I look at the energy of the astrology here, as we move into Sagittarius season, those uplifting visions and new adventures are ready to spark you up and take you higher. This is very uplifting energy that's meant to expand us out of the day-to-day and to have a new vista, to have a new panoramic viewpoint of what could be. You could feel like you're busting out of parts of your reality that you thought you were trapped in. But the quantum field, being an energy of endless creation, only sees openings here. So this is dream the wildest dream. This is go beyond what you thought could possibly happen and allow the universe to bring in the hows. And that's how we can shut down manifestations or limit our belief systems around what we think could be created, is that we overly focus on how. How could this happen? How could this possibly develop? How could I have this experience if I only have this much in my bank account? How could this come about if my reality looks a certain way today? This is expansive energy that wants you to go higher and go wider, but it will depend on how much you allow yourself to do so. So as I mentioned, this is a part of that Saturn-Jupiter great conjunction in late December 2020. Pluto is back at 0 degrees of Aquarius this week for the fourth and final time in our lifetime. Actually, Pluto stays at 0 degrees of Aquarius until December 30th. So it's over a month at this degree point, where again, you've already been getting downloads from a higher frequency around where to go next in your journey, in your life. And this is an opening into that new dream, that new vision, the expanded potentials. And part of what we've had to monitor and manage is our attachment to the outcome, to the timeline, and to how it really shows up. So know that this is a beautiful opportunity here this week to dream a bigger dream for yourself. And it doesn't have to be public. It can be private. It can be something you keep in a journal, or you do a vision board, or you ground it into a list. You connect it to an inspired future that you want to call into your reality now. And then also make sure, I'm getting this really strong visual here, that everything you are seeing, especially with your clairvoyance or your claircognizance, you are streaming it right into your heart space. You're grounding it in to the heart chakra and the solar plexus chakra. Because right now, as Pluto has just returned to Aquarius, we have the moon in Leo. The moon just entered Leo, so it's opposing Pluto in Aquarius, but it's making it personal. And the moon in Leo is the heart, your life force, your creative essence. It's warmth. It brings in the warmth of what you desire, what you love, what you want. and can create this magnetic pull that allows this energy to be more personal. So I'm seeing this as a widescreen panoramic vision that you could be feeling, sensing. Perhaps it's arriving quite vividly for you, but make sure it's not just out there. It's not beyond your aura. Pull it into your aura, connect it into your heart space and your solar plexus. Also make sure that you're grounding it in to your current earthly reality, and then maybe go into lotus pose or allow yourself to really feel the essence of this frequency download that holds very intentional light codes. So by light codes, that's connected to what is pulsing from the sun, what is blasting off of the sun, that never sleeps, that never stops, that's always bursting with energy, magma, neutrinos, heat, light, warmth, a basic necessity to our experience of life on our planet, and is in fact the opposite point to Pluto in Aquarius. So it feels like we've really got to be working on integrating even more all of these Aquarius visions into the warmth of our beingness. And as I say that, I'm getting the visual of removing filters that may have been unconsciously applied. So with this energy transitioning this week, if you had any filter, visual filter, similar to a filtered lens or Instagram filter or anything that was blocking the sharp, vibrant spark of energy that's coming through, that filter is going to burn off and be removed. It's needed to be dissolved because it was a blockage. Over the past 2 years, there could have been a blockage of seeing your full potential or what you really wanted because of Pluto going back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius. You could have had this ongoing dialogue internally around what you thought you could really create, have, or embody in this lifetime. You could have felt fully blocked. Like, there's no way. I don't see that happening. I don't get it. It's not realistic. It's not practical. The Capricorn energy will bring in those messages because the Capricorn energy was highly concerned with your how and questioning your ability to make something real for yourself. But now that's leaving. And it's interesting because I'm feeling like there could be people in your life who were that embodiment of Capricorn. They were your elders, a father, a guide, someone you looked up to. There could have been someone at work or in your home or family who was heavily in the Capricorn expressions for you, showing up as a Pluto in Capricorn physical manifestation, challenging what you want, challenging where you want to go next in your life. And they could have been shutting it down. They could have been the universe in its divine perfection, providing you with an opportunity to stand in your authority and stand in your power, requiring you to push back or get stronger in what you want and where you want to go. And you could realize that through the end of this year, their authority or their energy on you is being dissolved, meaning you're no longer feeling it as strongly. You're no longer challenged by it because of how you've strengthened and shifted. And you could feel this in your spine, in your backbone. Capricorn rules the bones, the spine, our teeth, our knees, the physical structure of our body. You could feel that whatever was giving you lower back pain or a toothache or whatever was weakening your knees or feeling weak somewhere in your physical structure, now it's ready to fully heal. Now it's no longer being challenged because you are stronger and you're no longer accepting those external messages. So stay aware of that in yourself. What are you no longer wanting or needing outside of yourself that you turn to or you relied upon, especially in someone who has more experience, again, who's older, who's a guide, who's a mentor? Your relationship with them is changing, and you could really see that through the end of this year. You could see how much you've grown through that back and forth dynamic and now fully hear yourself. Because again, with this strengthening in air signs going forward, it's almost like we're getting new auditory senses. We can hear new noises, like a higher pitch or a lower pitch, like we're hearing things in a new way, both literally and figuratively. And that shifts the information that we sit with and how we contemplate what we want and how we see it as a reality in our world. This is really interesting. It's the first time this has come through around how the ear is changing, how our listening is shifting, and we can hear things in new frequencies that perhaps you felt, but now it's real. Similar to how animals can pick up on higher frequencies and hear things that we can't hear. Now there's an opening here. I'm seeing this as an opening in the ear canal that is shifting those senses. And I also feel that it's directly connected to the ascension of the pineal gland. It's confirmation that we are living in new frequencies and that we are embodying them, sensing them, and working with them in a whole new way. This was a lot more information than I expected. I'll be honest with you. I know this is a weekly show, so we're going to get to the weekly energies, but it felt really important to share all this information with you as I was downloading it because it just started to stream through. And it's very important to connect these new parts of yourself to this new era that we're moving into. So along with all that, we have the sun entering Sagittarius on November 21st at 2:56 p.m. Eastern Time. And as the sun enters Sagittarius, it makes an immediate sextile to Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees. This sextile will bring new life, inspiration, and motivation to moving forward. Now, that's quite general, so it depends on what you are ready to move forward with, but there's empowered energy here as Pluto and the sun line up through this beneficial connection. And the sun can be highlighting what that might be for you. So stay aware of what is speaking to you this week, what is uplifting, interesting, adventurous, and can be a return of faith. This can be related to hope, feeling hopeful again, feeling that faith is restored, seeing how new options may show up that align with this future timeline, almost like the universe gives you an affirmation, gives you messages that, yes, this is correct. You're on the right track. This is the way to go. So this energy is the strongest November 21st and November 22nd. On November 22nd, we also have Venus in Capricorn sextiling Saturn in Pisces at 12 degrees. Saturn is now direct in Pisces, hanging out here at this degree point for the rest of the month and into December. And Venus in Capricorn is ready to make plans. This is a planning energy. This supports anything long-term that you want to say yes to, especially in Venus matters. So this can be great for financial planning, making new choices around what you need to do that aligns with your values and your reality. Venus in Capricorn sextiling Saturn in Pisces can make it more evident to you what's working, what's important, and the right priorities to continue to invest in. You could have a clear sense of what you want, especially if you've been waiting for it, because both of these energies signify what you've had to wait for. This can be a good weekend for payoffs, seeing that ROI show up and feeling strengthened because of the patience you've had around an important decision. There could be a congratulations or just, again, an affirmation of, yes, that was the right choice. I did that well. That was the right thing to take on and to handle. So again, that is Venus in Capricorn sextiling Saturn in Pisces at 12 degrees, which is exact on November 22nd. Then there are no transits happening in the heavens for a few days until Mercury stations retrograde on November 25th. This occurs at 22 degrees of Sagittarius in your chart. You would want to identify where you have 22 degrees of Sag, as the retrograde station occurs at 9:42 p.m. Eastern Time. This means that Mercury is moving slowly, and that means the messages are slower. The understandings take longer to connect with and integrate, and the important ones are louder. So as Mercury stations retrograde November 25th, stay aware of what is grabbing your attention, what is perhaps front and center, and what is coming up at 22 degrees of Sagittarius in your chart, as this is a topic or theme that will be reworked during the retrograde journey. Now, I have a separate podcast episode for you discussing Mercury retrograde. That came out on November 11th, and I discuss more of the themes that we'll be moving through during this particular retrograde. So the retrograde begins November 25th and lasts until December 15th as Mercury journeys back to 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So the house or houses in your chart where you have 6 degrees to 22 degrees of Sagittarius are where you will be slowing down, reviewing, reprioritizing, reconsidering, as well as relaxing, which is also a Mercury retrograde word. So as we experience the slowdown in our mercurial abilities, we're also going to have that sun in Sagittarius feeling more inspired and fired up over the following days. So I was discussing how the sun in Sagittarius sextiles Pluto in Aquarius on November 21st connects to new potentials and possibilities that light you up, that take you forward, that give you a new sense of hope and faith. Then the sun is going to trine the north node in Aries at 4 degrees, and then trine Mars in Leo at 5 degrees, November 25th through 27th. So this Fire Grand Trine unfolds over a number of days, and it connects Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius energies in your chart at 4 and 5 degrees and opens up a flow of energy that's personally motivated, especially with that Mars in Leo and the North Node in Aries. This is where you could feel activated to move towards something you want. Self-assertion is strong. The desire to create is highlighted. And something that you want is the focus. It's what do you want? Because here's the energy that's going to help you create it and move towards it. So again, let's say November 24th to November 27th, this Fire Grand Trine is quite strong and powerful. And there's an ignition that gets lit, which is Aries. Then the fire is stabilized so that it can burn strongly in Leo. And then in Sagittarius, it's the torch, the ability to move with the fire, to allow that energy to take you further and into new territory. So if you have planets or points around 4 or 5 degrees of the fire signs, this is going to be working with you quite personally. Now, because of how the North Node in Aries moves backwards, it's moving from 4 degrees to 3 degrees. And because Mars is preparing to station retrograde on December 6th at 6 degrees of Leo, I would say the orb on this is really about 3 to maybe 7 degrees of the fire signs. Like that's it, because of how both energies are actually going to be moving in reverse. And then that sun in Sagittarius moves forward. So 3 to 7 degrees of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, you are being activated here by a Fire Grand Trine, November 24th through 27th, that is getting you going towards what you want, what you desire, that perhaps you're already aware of. And this gives you the ability to make moves and get things done. The fire signs being very active and action-oriented. Now, yes, Mercury is retrograde. So, of course, double checking the details, confirming the facts, making sure that you have what you need, you're not missing something, you're reading the fine print, you're checking in on all the particulars. All of that is essential. But you could feel that you have this burst of energy and that you're wildly productive with this Fire Grand Trine. Now, it does continue loosely until the Sagittarius new moon, which is on November 30th, December 1st, depending on your time zone. That Sagittarius new moon is going to be at 9 degrees of Sag, but it's a wider orb, and Mars is moving slower, and the North Node is further away. So really the action period here is this week, and it would be best to take advantage of what shows up and what is presenting itself. Now, one more aspect to cover here in today's show, which is Venus in Capricorn squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries at 19 degrees. This occurs on November 27th. Venus squaring Chiron brings up something she wants, but she can't have. It makes her more sensitive and vulnerable, which Venus in Capricorn doesn't want to go into that, doesn't want to feel that. And so there could be a need to pull back or sit with something if it doesn't go according to plan. And Venus in Capricorn is a planner. She likes to know what she can rely upon. And this could signify that something doesn't happen as she wants, and also could feel like a challenge to her personal authority. Now, Chiron is hanging out at 19 degrees of Aries for an extended amount of time. That's because Chiron will be stationing direct at exactly 19 degrees of Aries on December 30th. And so Chiron stays here at 19 degrees of Aries until the middle of February 2025. So yes, about 3 more months of Chiron hanging out at 19 degrees of Aries, which is also the solar eclipse point from April of this year. April 8th, we had the Aries solar eclipse with the sun, moon, and Chiron all conjunct at 19 degrees. And now Chiron is hanging out there, highlighting what you're healing and what you've been healing since that eclipse initiated new awareness of your sense of self. So there's some things here that we're meant to move slowly with, because the healing journey is often slower. And with this Venus in Capricorn squaring Chiron, there could be something that Venus is wanting to do that's actually the old way, that's former you, a previous version of consciousness coming up here against what Chiron in Aries wants to initiate and implement for the new parts of you that are coming online and coming forward. And this Chiron is quite strong, I feel, for a number of months. Now, this means that a number of planets are going to interact with Chiron at this 19 degree point that is birthing new parts of yourself. But they're not here. They're slowly showing up. You're calling in and healing the more authentic parts of you that maybe you've been afraid to show people, that perhaps there's shame around or deep wounds around your self-confidence and self-esteem. So please notice where you have 19 degrees of Aries in your chart, because this is a very important degree point for all of us right now, but especially if you have planets or points at 19 degrees of Aries or the fire signs of Leo and Sagittarius, or 19 degrees of the cardinal signs. So 19 degrees of Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. This Chiron in Aries wants to show you a new way, is introducing you and calling in more of your true self that has been covered up and suppressed, and it's taking time to fully integrate it as well as love it and accept it. So as Venus in Capricorn squares this point on November 27th, you could bump up against former ways of being yourself that no longer connect with a rising truth. You could sense it in yourself. This feels personal. It also feels like there could be a discomfort, because that's how squares operate. Squares signify growth and potentials to come. And actually this Chiron is quite strong here. Again, 19 degrees of Aries. I know I'm a broken record about it, but the universe is highlighting this degree point for deeper healing, self-love, and self-awareness. The good news is that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius will be working beneficially with this Chiron in Aries at 19 degrees. So you're going to have new understandings of what you've been learning, of what you've been understanding about who you are now. And Mercury is going to bring in more messages and insights to work with these emerging parts of yourself. So what a week we have here. What a week of powerful transitions into a new era and our next reality. And then we have that sun in Sagittarius giving us life, directing us forward, that takes off with a Fire Grand Trine that allows us to do something with our burning energies, with our spiritual growth, and to allow that flow to expand us. So this can be quite expansive. Stay open to how you are growing, what you're noticing about your own growth at this time, and what is inspiring you to go forward. It could be surprising and hopefully quite validating in how far you've come, especially in ways that only you know. And you definitely want to be aware of what we're moving into in 2025. The astrology of next year is so incredible because we have all these outer planets changing signs, moving into fire and air signs, except for Jupiter, which will enter Cancer in June. But other than that, the energy picks up. We are moving at an accelerated rate, and it's going to feel like not only is life happening faster and that the timeline shifts are occurring at a rapid speed, but new parts of yourself are coming online and being fully activated. This is going to be brilliant for starseeds, light workers, those of you who know that you've been waiting or you have felt that things are coming through, they're ramping up, but they're not here yet. 2025 is going to support these new chapters and new beginnings. So be sure to check out my 2025 Soul Growth Astrology program, which is now available. It's the biggest one yet. That's why it took me longer to release it. It has 13 pre-recorded videos and webinars that guide you through the full astrology of the year as it applies to your natal chart. So the idea is you bring your natal chart and you go through these transiting planets and energies of the year, and you look at what is showing up for you. So I cover the 3 Mercury retrogrades, the Venus retrograde, as well as the Mars retrograde. We look at the new energy opening up with Saturn and Neptune both moving into Aries, Uranus moving into Gemini, Jupiter into Cancer, the 4 eclipses of the year, which happen in March and September, Plus, we have an amazing continuation of the galactic Fire Grand Trine, where Pluto in Aquarius is connecting with Uranus in Gemini, Sedna in Gemini, and the super galactic center in Libra. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? You're probably listening to this being like, I can't even keep up. But that's why I do these programs, so that you can come back and revisit it throughout the year. You don't have to know it all now. You don't have to understand it all now. But this gives you a heads up, and then you log back in. Say, for example, when Uranus moves into Gemini on July 7th, you come back and say, okay, now what have we got going on here in my chart as Uranus enters Gemini for the first time in 84 years? Big astrology, exciting times, a new era, and I want to help you be your own astrologer and understand how it's showing up for you. So do check it out. I have a link below the podcast here, and it's designed for you to get started on it now or fit it into your busy life. Come back whenever you can. It's waiting for you when you have time for it. And I'm so happy that it supports so many of you in working with your energy for the year ahead and to make the most of what you're here to do in this lifetime. So I hope this is a week of beautiful energies for you. I hope you feel stronger in who you are now and moving forward. I hope that filter is removed, whatever that filter might have been that represented Pluto in Capricorn. I hope that's removed for you. And I hope the sun in Sagittarius offers you some new inspired ways to grow as we move through the energies here of November. As always, thank you for joining me. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new episode, and we will keep rocking and rolling through these cosmic energies of the year. Have a beautiful day, and I'll connect with you again soon.